Hey YouTube, it's Justin here, aka Demonic Sweaters. Now today I've got a video that's really close to my heart, and what this video is going to be about, and hopefully I'll make sense when I'm trying to tell you this stuff, but it's going to be about, sometimes when you're an original musician and you make original music, sometimes it's really easy to get discouraged and just to start thinking like, why am I doing this? What is the point? Why do I even bother? Those are very common thoughts to have if you're an original musician, especially in 2024, though it's always been that way, at least as long as I've been making music, which has been a very long time, actually. I started recording my own music in the mid-1990s, believe it or not. I was pretty young, but I had an analog cassette 4-track back then, and I was making music even all the way back then. And I've been in bands and stuff too. And this kind of applies if you're a band as well, where it absolutely does apply. But really, I want to really reach out to those of us out there who are multi-instrumentalists, who create our own music, and it's kind of like our babies. You know, like I said, it's really easy to get discouraged and start thinking like, why do I even do this? Well, I'm going to tell you that there's reasons why you do this, and there's a lot of reasons why you should never stop doing it. And hopefully my reasoning will help you. So number one, the work is really all that matters. There's really nothing else important if you really, really start to analyze and think about it. Just creating the work is really the most important thing. Now, the reason you got into creating music in the first place was because you just had a love and a curiosity and a draw towards creation or creating some type of art or expression of yourself. And it is a very, very personal thing. So you do this for yourself. You're creating music for yourself. Now, it's also another thought trap you can get into here is if you start thinking that, you're like, well, that's really selfish. Why do I even do something that is so selfish? But really, it is not selfish, because no self-care is considered selfish. As in, if you're going to therapy or something like that, nobody would call you selfish for going to therapy, because this is going to help you mentally and help you spiritually in the world. So creating music is like a type of therapy, personal care, because you have to express something that you have inside, and that's why you want to create music. It's also like, think about when you're on an airplane and they talk about, if the air masks come down, to put on your own mask first before you help others, because you can't really help others until you yourself are safe and healthy. So that's really important. You are doing it for yourself, and that's okay, because you need to. We all need to have something like this in our lives. So another thing to think about, I'm going to tell a story here, that you never know how your music will affect somebody in the future. Even if it seems like nobody is paying attention at all, something might happen further down the road that you just don't expect. For example, I was in a band in the early 2000s called Lover, and we had recorded a lot of material. It was me and my buddy Jim Demko. We recorded 2 full-length albums, and we were really proud of this music at the time of making it, but overwhelmingly, the response was not very positive at the time. People just really didn't care that much. We would play shows, and, we get a few people there. That I'm not saying that everybody hated us. The people that got it, they got it, and they liked it. But it wasn't like a thing where everybody was just flocking to our shows. It just wasn't happening, And also the albums weren't really selling. We had made some CDs at the time, and, we had, I think, 3 CDs that we sold, and we maybe sold a couple at shows and gave some away and things like that. But anyway, long story short, it was great music, we thought, but most of the world didn't really think so, or they just didn't notice. They didn't care. So flash forward to about 2 weeks ago, I get a message on Instagram from a teenager who had happened to find the Lover CD, the first CD, at a thrift store. And they absolutely loved it. And they tracked me down because of my name being on it. There was none of our material was online, which I actually am surprised because I thought I had it all on Ant Hill Recordings Bandcamp, but for some reason it's not there now. So I'm working on getting that back, but I need to get the original copies again. But anyway, they had tracked me down and were like, told me that the CD that they found at the thrift store no longer played, so they wanted to see if I could send them the files. And I didn't have them, like I said, but then I managed to track them down on archive.org on the Wayback Machine. Or I tracked down the Bandcamp page, and somehow this teenager managed to get all of those files to play from that Wayback Machine, cached MP3s or whatever, and screen recorded them, and then created a YouTube video and uploaded our entire catalog to YouTube because they had loved the music that much. And this just made me feel really, really good, because at the time, like I said, nobody really cared. Nobody got it. And we thought it was great when we were making it, but it was really cool to see that all these years in the future, like literally like 20 years later, this music managed to find somebody, not even online, like in a physical form, managed to find somebody, and they really, really loved it. And that really, really made me feel good. So you never know. I mean, this may happen to you in the future. So just keep doing what you do, like it's not the most important thing in the world that people hear and love your music as you're making it. It just really isn't. Like I said before, the most important thing is just doing the work, because it's the process of creating work is what makes us grow as human beings. Now, that brings me to my next point. A lot of people seem to be worried about AI these days, and how AI can just instantly create a song or a piece of art. The thing that AI will never be able to do is the process of creation, and because it's just a computer program. So if you look at the process of creation as the thing that you are doing, not the end result, and not who hears it, and not who gives you approval of your art, it's the actual act of creation. This is something that can never be taken away from you, ever, from in any way. So that's it. That's what you really need to focus on. Now, another thing too, TikTok, Instagram, all this short form media like Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts. I really do not like these types of content. I think that short form media is really just kind of not helping society in any way. And I just think that music and this type of content it's not something people really dig into like they did in the past of like full albums. People would obsess over, the artist, and they'd really get, wrapped up in like the fandom and the obsession of this music. Whereas on Reels or TikTok or something like that, people just scroll by, they might listen to it for like a couple of seconds, then they'll just keep going by and on to the next thing. And then, like 10 minutes later, they forgot they even saw it. And this puts the artist kind of in a trap where they feel like they have to constantly be creating this type of content just to get these little hearts, these little taps on a screen, which is really silly. Like, we really don't need to be thinking about this at all, unless you are truly enjoying the process of creating that content. If that's the case, then by all means, go ahead and do it. But don't do it for the likes. Don't do it for that kind of attention, because that attention is largely meaningless, in my opinion. So TikTok, Instagram Reels, Shorts, all that stuff, I would say don't even bother. Now, algorithms, the reason why those kind of things get popular, or even on YouTube, music gets popular, is because of algorithms. Algorithms are not a true judge of quality. They are more of a measurement of what outrages people and causes controversy, or clickbait, or things that are very cheap emotionally. It's basically anything that activates the primal parts of the brain become the things that reach the top of these algorithms being pushed out into the internet. So again, algorithms are another thing that you really shouldn't be trying to please if you want to remain true to your art. Yeah, sure, you're going to get seen a lot less, but who cares? Because you're doing this for yourself. Like I said, you're not doing this to get attention. Well, maybe you are, and maybe I am sometimes, but we shouldn't be, because the attention doesn't really give you any kind of lasting fulfillment. It's the creation that gives you the fulfillment, the process, like I said before. So I wouldn't worry about that stuff. Like everybody's desperate for attention on these platforms, on Instagram and even YouTube and all of these platforms. Everybody's like, it's like the pathetic kid, in class when we were young, who wanted everybody to watch them and pay attention to them, and like they just kept being more and more desperate in their, actions and, what they were saying to try to get attention. And that can lead to some really bad stuff. So don't be desperate with your art. Don't be desperate. Just create. Also, I understand it's really easy for me to sit here, like you might be watching my video and being like, well, that's easy for you to say, you have 30,000 subscribers. But, it's not really, because I've had this YouTube channel for a really long time, first off, and my subscribers did not come easily. And I've always kind of done whatever I wanted. I never really tried to, bend to the algorithm or, try. And even today, I upload a lot of videos that don't get very many views. They just don't. But every now and then I feel like doing something that, if it's in alignment with what I want to do, that will kind of hit that algorithm a little bit. Like if it's like a drum set that I'm interested in reviewing or something like that, or a company contacts me and asks me to do something, I have no problems with doing some of that stuff. But I still focus on creating content that I enjoy first and foremost. I don't really care about that other stuff. And the 30,000 subscribers, that came very slowly. The first 1,000 actually took years for me to get. Once you get to 2,000, or once you get to 1,000, 2,000 takes like half as long. And then once you get to 2,000, 3,000 takes half as long as that. So every time you get more, they just start multiplying faster and faster. But again, it doesn't really matter that much. The subscribers barely watch my videos anyways. Most of the stuff that's getting watched is watched by new people who aren't even subscribed. And that's true for almost all YouTubers, which is really interesting. Like we're always like trying to get people to subscribe, but it really doesn't matter that much. And the reason why it doesn't matter that much is because YouTube took away the subscriptions page being the front page. It's basically just a page full of algorithmic recommendations when you open up YouTube. Now, you can actually get rid of this, and you can install a plugin called Unhook It, which I have installed on my browser, that disables that page and has your subscriptions page being your, basically the home page that you see on YouTube. And you can also just click the subscriptions page, but sometimes it's hard, to not get distracted by all those algorithms to get and look at your subscriptions. Every now and then I'll switch back to the algorithm if I want something, that I haven't seen, or something, a new suggestion. But overall, I like having my subscriber page being my front page of YouTube. Now, I wish there was an option for this on like Instagram, because Instagram has become a complete trash dump of just algorithmic suggestions, and I can barely even look at it anymore. I would much rather just see my friends. But anyway, that's a topic for another video. The problem is not your lack of followers. It's deeper than that. Really, what we want here is love. I mean, we just want somebody to say, wow, your music really, really touched me and is really important to me. You want somebody that will feel your music is as important to them as it is to you. But most likely this is not going to happen all the time, or maybe never. I mean, especially if you do something that's highly original and you're a very original person, then it's very hard to really reach somebody that's going to really connect with it the same way that you do. Now, that being said, it's not impossible. And like the story I told you earlier about Lover, how we kept making this music and it just seemed like nobody cared. But then 20 years later, somebody did really care. And that was really cool. And actually, just that one person, that one thing actually made me feel much better than a lot of compliments that I've received in a long time, because it was one of those things where I felt like justified, in doing what I did in the past. So that was really cool. Now, the more music you make, the more art you produce, the more it will excite you. So this is why you can't get hung up on, worrying about if people are paying attention or not. Keep working on your craft. Keep perfecting it. Keep getting better at it. In the end, art is a selfless creation. It transcends time. And the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. So my advice is just focus on the art. Don't worry about if people are watching it or listening to it or paying attention, because the most important thing is the creation itself. And that's the one thing that nobody can ever take away from you. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Hopefully this video helped those of you out there that need it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, click the bell icon, all that stuff, whatever. All right, see you in the next video. Have a great day.